All right, let's talk about some crypto payments. We'll get into some updates today. A lot of things have been happening in the news, but also around some of the strategic partners and alliances that are starting to make their way into crypto. You guys don't want to miss it. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, so I want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Tangem. If you're looking at self-custody, which is probably a good idea for you guys right now, is to take a look at self-custody. Even if you're working on centralized exchanges, you should always try to look at creating a security layer around all of your activities out there on blockchain. Make sure and check out tangem.com. You can, of course, get your wallet over there, and it's very simple. You get a 3-card set. This is your physical wallet. It works in conjunction with an app. Super simple, easy to use. I think pretty much anybody out there is going to be able to set this up in a matter of minutes. Check it out. Use our link. It's going to give you some discount when you sign up. All right, a couple of things I want to get into today. Before we jump into that, of course, I want to welcome on our co-host, Miss Jackie Dutton. Hey, Jackie, how's it going?
Good. Happy to be back.
All right, so we're going to break down a lot of things happening in the news right now. One of the things I want to hit on and kind of get your opinion on is all these potential payment updates, which seem to be flowing out pretty heavily. Stripe is expanding their crypto purchasing now in the European markets. So this is a pretty big deal because it's going to allow the EU shoppers to buy things with Bitcoin. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you. Buy Bitcoin or buy with Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, others using their credit or their debit cards. So this is all a move by Stripe, of course, moving into the EU. So that's a good thing. Of course, when you look at some of the things they've been announcing, you know, within the integration of crypto into Stripe, I'm kind of curious, do you think this is a good thing for crypto payments, or I should say for payments in general, or do you think this is just the old Web 2 payment companies trying to jack in on the new age crypto payment side?
Well, obviously they want to get in on the action, and I don't fault them for that. And I just think it's opening itself up to a nod of the fact that ultimately we designed these currencies to be an alternative to an actual currency that we transact
Yeah,
with, right? So there has to be one that we continue to actually spend. We don't just buy and hold it forever. You don't do that with your regular money. You can't do that with crypto that you hope to be the dominant one. So I
sure.
think we'll figure out which one we like to use the most.
You know, it's funny. We try to operate a lot with, you know, crypto for payment to vendors, you know, just so vendors can start to learn a little bit more about how to just open a wallet and I can send you and pay an invoice or whatever. We haven't seen enough of the automation yet. Definitely, I think when we see maybe payroll companies getting into it to where you could actually put a wallet address in for a payroll and be able to do that and still handle your taxes, your 941s, all that kind of stuff. But the fact that we're seeing this now in the hardware side is pretty interesting. I was looking at some of the readers here. This is just what you'll see over in the EU on being able to integrate. One thing to remember, and this is something that I think a lot of people forget, is really the idea of crypto payments is to reduce the transaction fees. And if you look at Stripe, Visa, MasterCard, et cetera, I mean, these are 2 to 3% of transaction fees. And for the most part, almost every retailer out there are paying at least in the 5 digits, if not in 6-digit fees throughout the year, if they're doing any revenue whatsoever. So the fees are still there. And it looks as though Stripe might be just allocating these fees now over to crypto payments as well. We did a video on this topic right here. This was Stripe supporting global stablecoin payments. And I'll kind of scrub through this video, but they were making it very easy to do of tying it in. You see USDC Phantom right there on screen. I think that'll be a big challenge in the future. Another tweet right here, Coinbase also is partnering with Stripe to bring Base into a faster, cheaper financial infrastructure. And remember, Base has had an absolute, you know, stellar sign up process of all these new apps. So I imagine we're going to get some payment apps and things like that coming. On-chain summer is coming in August, I think. What do you think about this partnership? Because Coinbase, I mean, I get it. I understand the need for it, but I almost wonder if we're going to see one of the majors try to go a neutral route away from the regular Web 2 payment system.
I mean, I like your point from earlier, right? Like we more so have to see payroll become a part of this conversation
Yeah,
because people converting one to the other on their own is very monotonous. But if you were just
Yes.
handed ETH as your paycheck, you would be more willing to figure out how you're going to settle it up and spend it.
Yeah. The other thing that surprises me is the amount of stablecoin usage. And you would think that USDC would be kind of the lead, dog in the race here. Tether, this is just a 7-day on this. Look at this jump in Tether liquidity. I mean, this is crazy in terms of use. Now, part of this is you would think that this would start to slide down with the EU MiCA rollout because Tether being in many cases banned off of centralized exchanges. What do you think is causing this kind of move right now with Tether's current market cap?
I'm not sure if maybe there's a worldwide explanation for this, like another government's kind of been getting into crypto that it's not on our radar right now, or they're about to convert a lot of Tether into something else. That might make a little more sense, but I personally don't have an explanation for that because Circle is the clear winner globally, in my opinion.
And with MiCA kind of, well, even though Ripple's stablecoin could change things up a little bit. That could shake things up a little bit. All right, so Jackie, I want to jump on this. This, of course, is Jesse Pollack over from Base. He's talking about basically reducing cost again, scalability. We saw a lot of new potential developers really tying into this. I still am interested to see if there's going to be some payment solutions coming out here on On-Chain Summer. With that and the potential of growth in their smart wallets, let me kind of go and take a look at that. Yeah, so here's the smart wallets, and July's not over yet, so likelihood is, I think this is weekly, yeah. We're going to see continued growth on this. Could we see Base start to maybe steal a little bit of thunder from maybe chains like Solana or maybe even, Avalanche and others? What are your thoughts there?
I feel like you can't talk about Base without acknowledging Ethereum, right? And since Ethereum is about to get an ETF and we're about to see this massive influx of money, I think, one begets the other, right? All of those ducks just kind of line up for everybody. So yeah, I think this is great for Base.
Yeah. Well, and you look at daily transactions climbing, weekly transactions are up, new addresses are up, so still a lot of growth. And I still think that this is one of those projects that is, well, we obviously know is just getting started for sure. Here, of course, is Gnosis Pay. We've talked about this one before, only available in Europe. You can kind of see some of the big partnerships there, but this is truly a crypto credit card. And we haven't seen one of those here in the US, for obvious reasons. Do you think, when you look at the potential here for mainstream people, will they jump into, and I get with MiCA, they're a little bit further ahead in the EU, and this is kind of where Gnosis Pay is. Do you think that we'll see a big adoption of these kinds of credit and debit cards coming through the EU now with the use of crypto within them?
Well, how much credit card debt does the EU generally have? I mean, I think any opportunity for people to run it up right now, they probably will. So if that's, people are irresponsible, they'll just do it.
Yeah, let's hope not. This is a company that is working with Gnosis. Just to give you an example of some of the fees that are out there, if you compare Zeal with this, and this, of course, is in comparison like if you were running a wallet, but you can kind of see some of the costs right here. Crypto bank transfer fees versus crypto exchange fees, very low. And then obviously bridging and cross-chain fees, also very low compared to what we've seen. I want to play a demo of the Gnosis and the Zeal card demo because it shows how it's connected here, and get your opinion on this. Let's take a look.
Here we can see tokens, we can see DeFi positions and collectibles. In DeFi, you see stake rewards, you see lending positions, health ratios, things like that. Let's head over to cards. I already have a card, so I'm going to do that. And now we're importing my smart wallet. This smart wallet can be used for many different things. Voila! Here we can see my transaction history. So let's top it up. Let's click Add Cash. I'm going to top it up from the tester wallet. USDC on Optimism. Click Swap. Now we see 1.68 euro pending. So it took less than half a minute to move the assets over to the card, and then also pay us a 2-minute delay before it can be spent.
As you can see here, I can see slippage, I can see network fees, and if I continue, I can pay for these network fees in USDC, XDAI, No, or USDT, I don't need just the native token to pay for network fees. And it's not just on Gnosis chain. It's on all of the networks that we support. You are able to pay network fees in different tokens.
I would think that the banks would really be looking at this going, oh, SH. How, and I was looking at their list here. This is the Gnosis card eligibility. These are the countries that you can get it now, which is mostly the EU, with the exception of a handful of others. But it says it's coming here to Mexico, the USA, Brazil. We'll see if that happens. But man, this could really shake up a little bit of the banking system. I would think, especially with millennials and Gen Z, who would be just as soon to operate on a wallet like that, wouldn't you think?
I would think so. And I also think obviously the huge potential here is for people who are unbanked or people who,
Right.
live in a country where their currency is out of control. A lot of the Latin American countries, I think right now would probably benefit from this.
Now, one of the challenges I think that are represented is what happens when we see, just like we see a lot of credit card companies who get breaches. Now we're starting to see some of these exploits on chain, and we've actually seen a few of these on different projects. But here's Li.Fi protocol. Their system raised suspicious transactions. This has happened now. More than 8 million drained from so far from users and mostly stable coins. They're swapping USDC, Tether, ETH, etc. But the interesting point right here is this is being used by a lot of the majors. So you've got those kinds of connected potentials of this kind of scenario, especially with wallets, including the Robinhood wallet, Metamask wallet. You see Binance in there, Phantom, etc. That along with even Brave, and then there's Gnosis Pay there as well. So I think these are the concerns I have right now with the continued exploits, because I don't think that we have enough forensics just yet on chain to really fight a lot of these kind of situations. Sure, we probably will get there, but it's such an early, scenario. And this industry is faced with this. Are you seeing more and more of this in terms of exploit attacks and et cetera within your community?
Lately, I think I've seen less, especially how it just felt like during the bear, like a year and a half ago. It just felt like you couldn't hold your money and it was getting hacked. And I don't know what the total was, but the bridges in particular just took an absolute beating about a
Yeah.
year and a half or two ago. And now I do feel like it's calmed down, which is kind of ironic because now it's worth more. So either, security's gotten a lot better and people are starting to get ahead of it. I think obviously those incentivized bug bounty programs are super helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Being willing to work with a white hat, that's also very helpful. So, we're going to have to police ourselves until or if we invite actual regulation like
Yeah.
this.
I think that's a great statement. This was a tweet out by Phantom. Due to the ongoing Li.Fi protocol exploit, we're turning off our cross-chain swaps until further notice. And then for your safety, they're recommending using Revoke Cash to revoke contracts that are out there. And for those of you, maybe you're brand new to our show, and really what happens in DeFi is when you sign or you engage with a Web3, project, website, etc. A lot of times you'll open up your wallet. You want to revoke that access. So make sure and do that within your devices, whether you're using a wallet like Phantom or even using something like Ledger or Coinbase wallet, whatever it might be. You should be just doing self. It's kind of, I won't call it like clearing your cache, but in many cases, it's a lot like if you're using browsers going into certain areas that you want to be more private in. Those kind of things. VPNs are what you use in the open web. In this, it's revoking your wallet addresses out there. To your point, kind of just self-policing a lot of your own activity, which I think there needs to be more education on that, because I'm not sure a lot of people really
Yes.
understand that. And it's a pretty simple process. It's not super difficult to understand once you get it. I think most people are just like a light bulb, turns on quickly. We got to do
Well,
that,
usually
Jackie.
people learn the hard way,
Yeah.
That's there's no
Hey,
greater
listen,
teacher than the hard way.
yeah, everybody gets their wallet hacked at some point. Hopefully it's not you. Li.Fi did put out a statement here. A smart contract exploit earlier today contained There's currently no further risk to users. That's good. But again, these are situations that in many cases are not in your control. Just like if your bank gets a data breach and your data gets out there, your credit card numbers, your social security, all those kind of things. Many people are worried about those because it's just like a debit card. Once it in itself gets breached, now granted with the way that credit card rules are in the United States, at some point could we see that in the crypto side of things? I think we're years away from that, so it's a little different than what you're dealing with there. So hopefully they'll get this all taken care of right there. Jackie, always fun dicing it up with you. Thank you so much for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
All right. All right, so one of the things you guys can do, of course, is jump into the Diamond Circle. Another thing that is getting ready to release here is our new MSI 2.0, which is our trading indicator. That is actually going to be available on all of the TradingView platforms, so you'll be able to use it with TradingView and in conjunction with a lot of the additional data that we do over there. If you want to learn more about that, the best way to get involved, of course, is joining the Diamond Circle. You can do that by just clicking the link down below. And of course, we'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.